The sacred divine feminine is creative, abundant, flowing, receiving, and disruptive. And the new energy of money, including cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, NFTs, and even the metaverse, is all these things too. Welcome to the Goddess of Crypto, a weekly show where women who are already in this powerful space will cover these topics simply, so you can relax into knowing that the future of finance is female.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Goddess of Crypto. I have with me the beautiful, the brilliant Barkley Romero. She is a top real estate agent and she is also the founder of Real Gratitude. And yes, that is a double entendre because the real gratitude is all about the real estate that she's doing. And Barkley, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I think so much has happened since we met. Barkley and I ran into each other at a conference and we were immediately like, zip, must talk. And I've been saying to her for a year, let's get you on the show. And boom, here she is. Barkley, talk about where you see real estate going. Because I know like you're not just a realtor, you're really a realtor futurist. So I want everybody to like get an idea of where you see things going.
Yeah, I see real estate being in the future much more community driven. And I also see it more based on chain. So I see what I mean by that is that I see us being able to tap into Web3 technology and blockchain technology in order to create more transparent and more smooth running systems for our agents and for our clients.
Yeah, and that on-chain piece, which means on the blockchain, is going to allow people to have a lot less fraud as well, which I know, my girlfriend owns a title company. That is a huge issue, fraud, and people just like lying about their stuff. And that's the people who are doing it on purpose. Then there's a whole bunch of people who are forgetting to tell the truth about their stuff because they just don't remember what they did that was to code or not to code or whatever. So to be able to put all of that on chain, I think is going to be really marvelous. So
yes.
So you're a realtor on the West Coast, yes? Mm-hmm. And
yes.
Say again where and kind of like how much of what you do is regular real estate versus this kind of future thinking?
Yeah. Good question. So I originally got my license in California back around the pandemic, actually, just a couple months before the pandemic started. And then a year later, I ended up getting it in Arizona. By the end of the year, I'm on track to have my license in Georgia, Florida, and Nevada. So I will be licensed in 5 out of the 50 states by 2024. But what I have figured out is that me doing real estate and me doing what we call connecting the community are not two separate things. They actually go hand in hand. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I created a Facebook group that helped my neighbors redistribute everything that was being hoarded at the time. And by way of that, people in the community started reaching out to me for not only help and resources, but also for real estate advice. So I realized that if I blended the two together and used my marketing in a way that was more organic and more symbiotic, that it would not only, it would cost me the same amount of money, but it would be much more efficient in what it could do for the community. So I wouldn't say that there is time that I spend doing other things. It's all 100% real estate. But what I figured out is that if we take these not only philanthropic efforts, but these blockchain technologies and create systems for our agents to utilize, that it'll be much more efficient for everyone.
Not just that, it'll be a much better experience for everyone because,
absolutely.
Yeah, when you start thinking in terms of Web3, I would say, if you said like, what are the top 3 words that people think in terms of when they're in the Web3 community, that's it. Community is one of them.
Yeah. That's what got me in.
Yeah, it feels like such a community, and it feels like a community where everybody lifts everybody else up, where everybody says, how can I help? How can I teach you if you have a desire to learn? This is how I learned. This is how I'd love to show you how to learn. So everybody's like paying it forward at the same time. But I love what you said about like everybody was hoarding and you helped them to redistribute. So true confession, I still have 2 giant things of Charmin and 2 giant things of Bounty in our attic. And when we run out of down, on the regular house level, we just go buy more. But I've got these 2 sets up in, because I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of those zombie apocalypse people, but ever since the pandemic, I'm like, those may be the things that you need to be able to barter with when, there's no banks or the electrical grid goes down or whatever. So yeah.
Completely. I completely
bank
understand
of toilet paper.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a cool thing to witness, because the way that I just onboarded people into the community was reaching out to them on Facebook. The original iteration of the company was called Glendale Gratitude. So it was just in Glendale, California. And anybody that had that in their profile on Facebook, I sent a cold email out to and said, hey, this is for our neighborhood. If you need anything, post on the wall and see if somebody can help you out with it. And people were getting baby wipes. They were getting diapers, beans and rice. Some people were going grocery shopping for other people. It was just a beautiful thing to be able to witness in a time that was otherwise so depressing.
Oh, I love that. That's very heartwarming. Thank you. And of course, I know Glendale well. I lived all around that area when I was in LA. So now that's evolved into real gratitude, and real gratitude. Talk a little bit about like how that exists today.
Yeah. So Real Gratitude is a team of real estate agents that use their marketing in a way that connects the community. So what I teach all of my agents on the team to do is to highlight local businesses, nonprofits, and local artists whenever they close on a transaction in a way that connects the community. So most of the time, when a transaction is over a certain price point, the average price point for that neighborhood, what we do is we reach out to the nonprofit, find out what the nonprofit needs, and then go door to door and get those items from the neighbors. And at the same time, we are collecting emails, phone numbers, whatever way they prefer to have us contact them to be a part of our community. So we're not building a lead generation service, but we're building a community building service. So we're teaching our agents how to use community in order to grow their own business and ultimately to have a more fulfilling life through their work.
That's beautiful. I coach a group of realtors, and they're always saying, how do I interact with the community more? How do I have a better experience with the neighbors? How do I talk to the neighbors? So it's really a beautiful idea. Now, is this something that is exclusive to Real Gratitude? Is this something that like the listeners can say, yes, I want to do this too, and I'm going to start do they have to license this concept from you, or can they just go out and start doing this in their community?
Yeah, so they could go out and do it in their community. But what I would say is that from my scripts that I've been working on the past 2.5, 3 years, 55% of the people that I talk to end up giving me their email address or their phone number and wanting more information on how to join the community. What Real Gratitude is it's a community for you to join that gives you benefits such as referral partners. It gives you the script work. It gives you templates. So an agent could, at this point, go out and do these exact same things that I'm doing, but they're trying to reinvent the wheel to a point because we've already built those systems for them at a fraction of what a traditional team costs. So that's been our goal, is to make this so that the agent doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. They can just hop right into our systems, and they pay not much more than a typical referral fee in order to work with us and have access to all of those things.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you're using the blockchain to create that community nationwide. Is that right?
Correct. So what we have done is all of our onboarding for Real Gratitude is in the form of a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. If you don't know what that is, all it is a new business entity that is only recognized in a few states, but it is a Web3 business entity where a group of people come together around one fund and one mission. And they say, now we are going to vote democratically on what we do with these funds and how we move as a collective. So there are a couple different tools that you can choose to build your DAOs in. We decided to build on what is called Charmverse. And so I actually just built that out over the weekend for all of our agents to get onboarded through that. It has all of the links that they need. It has forms for them to fill out. It has all of the coursework for them to take, and anything that they need to know, including templates for their flyers and door hangers and all of those things in that Charmverse, so they have easy access to it.
So Charmverse is the software platform for this particular functional system that is the DAO. Yeah, that was a really great explanation of a DAO. I've had several guests on who talk about DAOs. I've done several crypto vocabulary episodes. We've defined DAOs. And the important thing about the decentralized part of the autonomous organization that is a DAO is nobody's in charge of it. Like everybody's in charge of it because everybody gets an equal vote. So when Barkley's talking about a democratic version of this, I mean, it's about the most democratic thing that you can possibly get, because literally it's being like the person that creates it says, I'm creating this to not be in charge of this. I'm creating this community to run itself. And that's a beautiful thing when it's properly run. I've seen DAOs ruin themselves because people get greedy. I know that in your case, you're doing something that is so community-based. It's like people have there isn't really the greed factor. I don't think will come in the same way as like, oh, this DAO could generate a lot of money, and therefore now people start to get really ugly about it. I think it's a great idea what you're doing. I also want to ask about Charmverse because I've never heard of it, but are you a programmer? Like, how did you figure all that stuff out?
No. So my CPO, Alexa Mill, she is incredible. She's incredible.
What's a CPO? I don't think Chief Publicity Officer. Is that right? Chief Product Officer. Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Chief Product Officer. Yes.
Yeah. So she is my CPO for the platform, which I'm sure we can get into at some point. But ultimately, what that platform does is allows people to create digital twins of their home so that they can keep a record of all maintenance that occurs to that home, so that when it's time to sell, it's much smoother, much more transparent, and can be done, in a fraction of the time, ideally. So
is that digital twin? Is that an NFT of the home?
Yes, a dynamic one.
So yeah, because it's going to have to get updated and changed. Exactly. And yes, so that's a really good idea. And it's absolutely where I've seen, like, I want to say like the first minute that I heard about what an NFT was, the second thing I did was go, oh, can't wait till you can do that with houses, because it's like so valuable for a home. But you can't use that NFT, that digital twin, to sell the house right now because of the legalities of, what you can sell. But in the future, you could possibly see that happening, correct?
Correct. We possibly could. And we've seen a couple different companies playing with transfer of title on chain. And what we're aiming to do is be the verifiable source for all of those companies and a data aggregation so that we can host all of those homes that are listed on their platforms in one centralized database for our community to come together and go shopping.
Come together and go shopping. I love that.
Does that make sense?
So yeah, it does actually.
Cool.
So I know when you say like you've seen a couple companies play around with that. I know that Proppy has done stuff with selling homes as NFTs. I just know the reason I said what I said, the way that I said it, is that it is not easy to do, and it like you have to thread the needle a little bit right now to make an NFT sale. And then a lot bit, yes. And then later there will be more transparency and more ease and flow with that process. But we really are so early. It's very, very difficult to do that. And, selling a house as an NFT it basically just has to do with the way that the property is created legally. And so it does get pretty complicated. So, and at the moment, a lot of local governments, state governments are like, no, we're not recognizing that. So I get that you've gone in it from a different direction, which I think is really valuable and important. But then that you would be able to later use that same NFT to transact with the house. That I think will make things like you would be ahead of the curve when that eventually happens, because you would have already had the system for that and you've already onboarded all these realtors. Okay, you're brilliant. I just don't even know what to say. Keep going. My brain is all over the map here.
But yeah, we were talking about Charmverse though, and how I found this and me being a programmer, and I'm because I'm not. But it's been great building a team. Our DAO is not fully decentralized yet because it does, in the beginning, I do think it will be a lot smoother if we have a little bit of centralization. So what we've done is we've applied for our 501c3 designation. And we've created board members, and then
which officers. Is a nonprofit. Is a
nonprofit.
Correct. Okay, keep going.
Correct. So we've nominated our board members and our officers for that, and those people hold the most weight to their vote in the DAO. And then after that, we will have our investors, because we are doing a small investment round. To build out the Figma prototype for that platform that I was talking about for the digital twins. We are going to be working with Solidity Labs for that one. They are going to be our design team on that. So that will be a whole VC raise that we end up doing to build out that platform. But what Figma is kind of like a Canva for apps and for websites. So we're having a design team build out what it'll look like, what the user experience will be with the links, even clicking through to new pages, all of that beautiful jazz. It just won't make the NFT. It won't make the digital twin. It won't actually function, but it'll give that whole design. So, I am not a programmer. I do not know what I'm doing when it comes to
I do not
coding.
play one on TV. Yes,
I do not play one on TV yet. I did play a hacker on TV once, though. That was a fun one. But not a programmer yet. So I've just been really, really lucky that, and I do believe that we create our own luck. So I will recognize that, but I've been really grateful this year and very blessed to have garnered such a great team behind me. And funny enough, I met most of them on Twitter.
That is not funny, surprising at all. It's funny, normal to me, because there's a whole crypto Twitter, and crypto Twitter consists of this really deeply supportive. Okay, they're also massive trolls, but just in general, I find that if you want information and you want support in Web3, you can go to crypto Twitter and it's going to give you whatever you need. And I love playing in that space as well. I've met some really cool people. I actually meet most of my guests at shows, or I see them at shows, but I find that getting a hold of them, tracking them, asking them to be guests, I can do a lot of that on crypto Twitter, because it's just so supportive. So I love that you met these folks that way. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So now what? You've got so you've got the DAO, you've got your board of advisors, you're centralized but going to decentralized. You've got your templates, your scripts. You are at this point where now people can onboard into your system. What's the next step that they're going to be taking?
Yeah. So the next step would be onboarding. We've got a pretty sweet deal. What we offer our agents is all of the training, all the onboarding, everything is completely free as long as they remain in good standing. So what that means is that they take one course that is a welcome to the team and basically goes down all the branding and anything they need to know in order to brand themselves as a real gratitude agent. They have to take that within the first 30 days so they know what they're talking about. Then the rest of the coursework is you have a longer period of time to take. And then we offer a blockchain course. So you've got the course on how to build your business by connecting the community. And then you've got a blockchain basics course. Once you complete those, we have dynamic coursework that is released every single month. And that gives you content ideas and updates on the real estate industry as a whole, as well as the Web3 market. So we're keeping our agents informed. And as I said, this is all free. The only thing is that if an agent isn't in good standing, then we do charge. But as long as they're connecting the community with every single transaction and they are, taking the coursework, all it is that, as I said before, just slightly more than a standard referral fee. So it's a pretty sweet deal, especially for newer agents that are looking to build their business in a way that will give them true connections in the community and true relationships. And it's also good for agents that just haven't figured out how to tap into the community yet. So
which is about 80% of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a pretty open market. We are starting to find that people that don't necessarily want to do the community connections, but want to contribute to the DAO, that we can invite them in to just do, basically kind of a donation basis. So we are trying to figure out ways of having people that aren't official team members. But as I said, we keep it super affordable. We want it to be sustainable. We don't want people to outgrow us. We truly want to build a community within the real estate industry, because, they say that nearly 85% of agents, I think it is, fail within the first 5 years. So that's almost all of them are failing within the first 5 years. And so there's something clearly missing there in training and in team building. So if we can do that in a more sustainable way, I really think that we could change the real estate industry.
You're absolutely right about the failure rates and also about the missing thing. When I first got to Florida, I was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be pursuing what, because I was leaving my current, I left my partner. And so I left our businesses behind and I'm like, now what? I don't know. And so in addition to starting to move forward in my coaching practice, which is what I ended up going with, I also thought, maybe I'll go ahead and think about being a realtor. That could be. And so I started looking into it, and I was about 3/4 of the way through getting my license. And I was like, I don't want to do this at all. All of the training material. And I had been a private real estate investor for a long time, but I'd never gotten licensed. And I was like, I'll go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and be a realtor. But about 3/4 of the way through, I was like, this entire coursework is all here designed to make me not get sued. There was zero explanation about business. There was zero explanation about how to build my business. There was zero explanation about how businesses function and how, as a sole proprietor realtor, one, or an LLC realtor or whatever, that one would function inside of creating, building, and growing a sustainable business practice. So I was like, this is not for me. I don't want to do this. And I stopped. So I'm really excited for you that you have created something that is going to support realtors, because I feel like, there's some programs out there. I love Ninja Selling, for example. I feel like Ninja Selling super supports realtors. And if you're a realtor and you're listening to this, Ninja Selling is a course, but it's also a book, and the book walks you through the course. So the book is actually really, really supportive and valuable. I encourage you to consider taking a look at that. But I love the idea that you have it sounds like a community for realtors as well as helping realtors get out into their community. And I think that's very valuable as well. So good for you.
Thank you. Absolutely. And that's really what I'm aiming to create. And it was kind of funny because the way that I found out what a DAO was is I had already started creating this community, right? For my neighborhood and for the Los Angeles community. And I had a friend reach out to me and was like, hey, have you ever heard of what a DAO is? And I was like Dow Jones, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then
not spelled the same, yes.
Same at all. And so he was like, here's some articles on it, read about it. I think you're really going to dig it. And the one thing that it kept saying over and over and over was the word community. And I really honed in on that and realized that was what I wanted to build more than anything, was just a community of like-minded people that believe that if we put this almost butterfly effect of goodness onto each real estate transaction, then we can create a never-ending cycle of regeneration.
That's beautiful. Oh my goodness. The visuals I just got on that is really, really great. Like that it's like a little bit of fairy dust sprinkled on each transaction and then it ripples out to the community. That's just gorgeous. Thank you for that image. So I want to ask you, because this is a show that's by women for women. I want to just ask, real estate is one of the few markets that I feel has really embraced women in power and where a woman can't say like, hey, there's a glass ceiling because of the men in the world who are running everything. I think a lot of realtors are women. I know like in the title business, like 80% of title agents are women. It's like a huge number. And I know that in real estate, it might not be that high, but it's a significant amount. So what's it like being a woman, not just in real estate, but a woman at this kind of bleeding edge of real estate? And do you ever feel like there's anybody who, is getting in the way, or are you just getting all the help that you need?
Yeah. So I feel like when I first started in real estate, that it was less about me being a woman and more about me looking so young.
Oh yeah. I was going to go there too, because I was like, I'm sure people were like, are you 12, honey? Can you have your real estate license yet? And if you're listening to this instead of watching, Barkley looks like she's about 18. I'll give you 22, Barkley. Yeah, that's like the oldest that you get to be. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe 22. And in reality, I'm a decade older than that. Right. So, I think that was my almost larger factor than being a woman, because as you say, there are so many women in real estate that, I think society has grown to, trust women in that position, which, is strange to say because we should trust women in all positions.
All positions, yes.
But that's like a different show that we could have. So, it is in itself. But that being said, as far as being a woman in Web3 and blockchain, that was interesting in the beginning because as we talked about Twitter before, we call our profile pictures on Twitter PFPs. And most people have an NFT that they feel very connected to or love their community and rock that NFT as their PFP. So I don't do that. I have a little headshot of me with butterfly wings as my PFP. And I really got a lot of like what we call FUD. Like people were just mean to me about having my picture as my profile picture and B, not having an NFT, where I have over 24 NFTs and love every single community that I'm a member of. So for me to pick one project when none of those projects are paying me to promote that project, first off. And second off, I'm creating my own brand that does pay me to promote it. Why would I not have myself? But people were saying that I was trying to thirst trap, that it wasn't, part of the culture, and were really kind of rude about it. And finally, on Twitter, you can tell.
I'm sorry. I'm assuming that anybody over 35 has no idea what a thirst trap is. So I'll take your definition. I actually have a similar story, but in the reverse that I really want to share that I haven't had a chance to share on the show yet. But talk thirst trap first. Yeah.
Okay. Thirst trap is like somebody that's like looking for attention. Like they're looking to get attention, especially from like the other sex, right? So that's what a thirst trap is. And typically like people say it in like you're wearing a more revealing outfit or doing something kind of provocative. But keep in mind, this is literally me in like a pretty conservative dress with butterfly wings.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
So when I first started looking into crypto Twitter as having like my own goddess of crypto moniker on their handle on there, I was using a picture of me that had been generated. You know those programs where like put in your face and then it generates 50 pictures of you, but they're all different kinds of cartoons. I had picked one I particularly liked, and that was the face that I had posted. Mm-hmm. And I did do it because I was like, I'm 20 years older than a lot of these girls, and I was a little shy, I admit. And so I was like, let me just put the picture up, and I'm trying to build this from absolutely nothing. Let's see what comes up with it. Well, there was a guy on there who is misogynist, does not even begin to give the tip of the iceberg of what a complete yokel this guy is about women, about money, about like literally at one point he posted something that said like, if she's older than 24, move on because she's not worth it. I mean, that whole thing. And he's got a ton of money. So it's all about, how big his cojones are, which he's showing off through his airplane and his fancy car. And like literally the day that the war was declared in Ukraine, the next day he had these Ukrainian models on his private jet and was like, oh, I'm helping get people out of the country. I mean, it was like that kind of grossness.
Gross, yeah.
And so I got into a little bit of a match with him, a match of wits, which again, don't ever go in with an unarmed person into a battle of wits, because here, like within 3 sets of back and forth tweets, he was like, you're old. And I can tell because you don't have your picture up. So you're probably ugly too. And I was like, all right, that's it. And I just posted my picture and that was it. And I was like, I'm done hiding. I will not hide behind a cartoon. I will just be me. And we all have to deal. I mean, God bless him. Someday the pigeons will come home to roost and his latest trophy wife will leave him for, whatever like substance she actually wants. And his children will hate him, or his money will be gone, or whatever. And that is his karma and none of my business. But it was really interesting because it didn't occur to me, especially he was kind of, I'll call him like on the fringes of crypto Twitter, like not a builder, not somebody who was like really into the tokens or whatever, just somebody who obviously had invested at the right time and had made money and was like, crypto's great until it wasn't. And then all of a sudden he disappeared. Maybe it was because I blocked him. I don't know. One of those two things. But anyway, it was a really good lesson in how you're really showing up from the inside and not from the outside, because we're all going to get old. We're all going to have bad hair days, whatever. You and I less frequently than most people, I think. Exactly. But it is definitely something, we all have to face the way we look and the way that we look at different times in our lives, including that guy. So it was like, okay, just show up as who you are. And I think the NFT thing, a lot of people do that. I've got, plenty of friends who own Bored Apes, and their whole Twitter presence is all about their Bored Ape NFT. And I get it. That's your prestige symbol. That's your flex, right? It's a beautiful thing for them. But if you want to show up with butterfly wings sprouting out of your head, like you should be able to go right ahead and not be told that you're trying to get somewhere with somebody or whatever. And also, if you want to show off your beautiful dresses or your beautiful cleavage and your beautiful dresses or whatever, that's your business too, right?
Right. Yeah. And so it actually annoyed me so much because people were like, Well, if you're in the NFT community, you should have an NFT, and you can tell when somebody has an NFT as their profile picture on Twitter because it's a hexagon. It's in the shape of a hexagon as opposed to a circle. So what I did is I took that file that was my profile picture and I went ahead and I minted it and I turned it into an NFT. And now I have a hexagon. So nobody can say anything.
That's so smart. That's so smart.
You.
And my favorite thing is, as usual, there's Barkley thinking outside of the box. I love that. I love that. All right. I always finish the show out by asking what's one more thing you want the women who are listening to this to know? And it could be about anything, not necessarily about business, just in general. What's the one thing you want women to know?
Ooh, that's such a good one. That's such a good one. I would say the one thing I want women to know, and this is purely, honestly speaking, from something that I had to learn along the way, is that in order to be taken seriously, you have to take yourself seriously. And you also have to be willing to play.
Oh, I love that. Speak more to both of those things.
Yeah. So I think a lot of the times we get nervous to show up or just to be real, to say our truth. We tiptoe around things. And then we say, nobody takes me seriously or nobody respects me. But what it comes down to is that in order to have those things, no matter what gender you are, male or female, you have to show up and be 100% real, transparent, and you have to be committed, right? You have to be willing to, I don't like the word sacrifice, but you have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to put in the work. So sometimes it's a matter of coming to terms with you are enough in order for things to shift for you, for the outside world to start believing that. Because when we think about it, the outside, what we feel from everybody else is actually has nothing to do with them. It's all a reflection of what we feel in here. So if you're not feeling like you're being taken seriously or being respected, figure out how you're not respecting yourself and not taking yourself seriously enough, and then make the changes and see how the world completely just opens up and shifts.
And that's beautiful. And how about the play part?
And the play part is you can't take life too seriously. You have to be willing to play, especially when we're doing stuff in Web3 because it's all new territory and it's like, oh, this is exciting. Oh my gosh, did you hear what tech can do now? And everything's new. And it's like, you have to go in with that childlike mindset. And that's how we stay alive. Once you stop learning, you start dying. So it's coming in with that. I am serious and I demand respect because the stuff that I'm doing is, real and honest, but I also am here to learn and I know nothing.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, this is gorgeous. Thank you, Barkley. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you shared today. Oh, and thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad we finally made this happen.
I know. Me too. If you like this episode of Goddess of Crypto, please comment on it, like it, review it on your favorite platform, and subscribe to it. And most importantly, share it. Share it with all of the women in your life, your moms, your daughters, your girlfriends, your besties, your grandparents, all of it. Share it with all the women in your life, because the financial tsunami is coming and we want to teach you to learn to surf so that you can ride the waves instead of getting knocked over. I will see you next time on Goddess of Crypto.
Every week, Transformational wealth coach Hallie Evelyn leads a conversation that helps to ensure that women everywhere can learn to surf the coming tsunami of the new energy of money. You can find her at goddessofcrypto.me. That's goddessofcrypto.me. Be sure to subscribe to Goddess of Crypto on your favorite platform or watch the show on YouTube. And remember, wealth isn't just your privilege, it's your right.